So hey guys, here's a review on what will be coming on the quiz. I need you to watch this video so you can be prepared for what is coming. So we're going to look at a few questions. We're just going to simply look at finding the angles that are formed by chords, secants, tangents, secant and tangents. We're also going to look at finding the length of uh, a missing part on these lines as well. So let's see what's reading. And also we're going to look at how when we have like a quadrilateral, we want to find the value of x if part of the angle is missing. So let's just go straight into it. So the first one we're going to look at is if I have a circle like this and I have this quadrilateral like this, and I say this part is 80 degrees, and I say this part is 75 degrees, and I say here is, let's say, x minus 10. Let's leave it right there. We say this part is y plus 30. And I want to find x, but I want to find y. Now, the idea of this thing with these two angles, the opposite angles are supplementary angles, meaning when you add them, they should give you 180 degrees. So, and also for these two. So if I want to find what is x, what is y, all I need to do is to solve them one by one. So solving these angles first, then solving that angle first, and then we find the missing value for y and x. So it doesn't matter which one I want to solve first. So I feel like solving for I want to solve for it doesn't matter, x first. So x minus 10 plus 75 should equal to 180. I'm going to group the like terms. So when I take away 10 from 75, I'm left with x minus 65 is equal to 180. If I were to bring positive 65, if I were to subtract both sides from 65, I will get x will be equal to 115 degrees. So x is equal to 115 degrees. So there you go. That's x. And if I want to find the if I want to find the value of y, how would I do it? I just simply do the same thing, adding both angles, equating them to 80 on 80, and then I'll just solve for y. So let's go. So I have 80 plus y plus 30 is equal to 180. I group the like terms. So the 30 plus 80 is 110. 110 plus y is equal to 180. I want to take away 110 from 180. That gives me 70. So my y is equal to 70 degrees. Simple as that. No big deal. Let's move to the other questions. So these questions are for the quiz, is the review questions. Let's look at the circle like this, and I have two tangent lines. All right, let's say this part is what, 6 times 1 plus 3 times k. We have negative 18, negative 6, negative 6k is k, using one variable. Now, what do we know about two tangents? We know that two tangents are equal. So what I could simply do is to write an equation in terms of you equating both equation. You could just write both equations and we could just equate them. 18, let me check if it's 8 right. So all I need to do is to group the like terms on one side and have the like terms on one side and the numbers on one side. So first, let's try to see if we can simplify this first. So we can solve anything in this parentheses right here. So all we need to do is to do with the distributive property. We say 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 3k is 18k equal to 18, negative 18 minus 6k. I need to put the k's on one side. I also need to put the numbers on one side. So it doesn't matter which side I choose. They should be grouped as like terms. So I'm going to put the k's on this side and numbers on this side. As I said, it doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and move that. So we have we have, if I were to put this negative k on this side, it's going to be changed to a positive. It's a negative. And if I move this on this side, it's going to be a negative. And so let's go ahead and do it. So if I were to switch this up, I have positive 18k plus 6k is equal to negative 18 minus 6. I'm going to just simplify both sides of the equation and get this out of the way. So if I have 18 k's plus 6 k's, that's how many k's? 24 k's. 24 k's. 24 k's. And for this one, here, I'll have the same thing. I will have what? Negative 24. Now I want to have k by itself, so all I need to do is to divide both sides by 24. Let me clear this Bible. Let me clear this first. Get some space right here. All right, so I just divide both sides by 24. So divide both sides by 24. Right? So that cancels that. And 24 goes into negative 24 is negative 1. So my k is equal to negative 1. Very simple. All right, let's look at another one. If I have, let's say I have my circle here. Oh, let me draw a better looking circle. If I have my circle right there, and I have two chords. Now, when I have two chords, I want to find, well, let's see, call this 9, call that 2, call right here 3, and I want to call right here x. And if I want to find the value of x, all I need to do is just to remember what is my formula when I have two chords intersecting in a circle. My formula is A times B is equal to C times D. Now, which part is A, which part is B, which part is C, and so on. Now, it doesn't, I want to take one of the chord. All right, one of the chord, I'm going to say here's going to be A, here's going to be B. It doesn't matter which chord you want to use, A and B, but just choose one of them. So here's this going to be C, it's going to be D. All right, so I'm going to take these values, plug them into the formula. What is A? A is 3. What is B? X. What is C? 2. What is D? 9. I get 3x equals to 18, and I'm going to divide both sides by 3. My x is going to be equal to 6. There you go. Let's move on to another question. If I have another question I want to solve, let's say I have 54 right here. This is unknown. This angle right here is unknown. Here is 202. And I want to find my vertical angles right here. How would I find it? The question I need to ask myself again, how do I find angles with having two chords? How do I find it in the vertical angles having two chords? Having two chords. All I need to do is to add these arcs. Add these arcs right here. Add these arcs right here. Add this arc, add that arc, and divide them by 2, and that's my answer. So I have now 202 plus 54 divided by 2. This is what? 266. When I divide 266, what do I get? If I could just simply separate these things, these numbers, and divide them as we go. Oh, 256, I'm sorry, 256, 256, 256, 256. All right, let me get my pen right here, 256. Now, if I want to find when I divide 256, what do I get? I get 128. So my vertical angle right there is going to be 128. So let's move on to another question. Let's say I have this line. Let's say I have two secant lines. And let's say I call right here 21. I call right here 159. And I want to find the angle that is formed by the two secant lines. The thing I need to ask myself, what is my formula that I must use? So when I have two secant lines and they form an angle and I need to find the angle right here that is formed by the secant line, all I need to do is to subtract these two chords. And if you look at it carefully, these are the chords that you see. The far chord and the near chord. And all I need to do is to say 159 minus 21 divided by 2. So that's all I need to do. That's all I need to do. Divide this by 2. We get when we work this, we get 138. And then if we were to divide 138 by 2, we get 69. It's equal to 69 degrees. Let's move on. Let's look at another question. If I have this question looking like this, let's have another two secant line. Now so the thing is, when you have a secant line, you could be solving for missing angles or missing part, a missing part on the line. And so in this case, we're looking for a missing part, which is X right there. And we have 3 right there. We have 2.5 right there. We have 5.9 right there. And I want to find what is my value of X. All I need to do is to remember the formula. What formula do I use when I have two secant lines? Now, the formula is the outer part, parentheses in plus out, is equal to out, parentheses in plus out. There you go. Now, all I'm going to do is to take one of my secant lines for one part of the equation and the other for the other part of the equation. So I'm going to look at these two lines. So what I'm going to do, I want to take the information on this on the line that is covered in black, but in somewhat. So what is my out part? My out part is 3. My in part is X. So all I need to do is to rewrite this in a way that I can it can be worked out. So let's look at this. So I need some space. I'm just going to erase my formula right here. I hope you guys remember this. Well, you should remember this formula, because you should be using this like every day. Now let's look at this. So what's my out? So it says out, which is my X. What is my in? No, my out is 3. My in is 3. What do I mean by in? The part that is inside the circle on the secant line. So my 3 is outside on the secant line. So my out is 3 is equal to what's my in? My out part is 2.5. And what's my in part? 5.9 plus 2.5. Now, if I were to just simplify all of this, I would get 21. So I get 21 for that part, 21. And if I look at this right here, I get 3 times X is 3X, 3 times 9 is 3 times 3 is 9. So I have 3X plus 9 is equal to 21. And I would just subtract both sides by 9, and I will get 3X is equal to 12. If I divide both sides by 3, I will get 12. X is equal to 3. Very simple and easy. Let's look at another one. Let's look at this one. If I have, let's say I have this is like right here. If I have this 110 right here, and I have A, B, let's say all of this arc is 20, let's say 31x minus 7, and I want to find what is x. Now, you could solve this two ways. The thing is that remember that the entire circle is 360 degrees. If here is 220, which is all of here is 220 in a finite degree, then what would this be? All I need to do is to subtract 220 from that, and it gives me 150. So here is 150 degrees, and remember that the intercepted arc is always equal to the central angle. So this arc is also 150 degrees. Now, if I want to find x, all I need to do, I could do this two ways. Now, this arc right here, let me use a different color. This arc right here is something very dark that you can see. This arc right here, stopping right here, is 210, which is also equal to right here. So I could just equate these two terms and solve for x. That's one way of doing it, and let's do it. That's just one way of doing it. So these two parts are equal. That's one way of doing it. So let's look at this right here. So we could say 31x plus 7 is equal to that arc right there, but angle right there. So all I need to do is to make x a subject. So when I add both sides by 7, I get 31x is equal to 217. If I divide 31 by both sides, I will get 7 for my answer for x. So x will equal to 7. That's just one way of doing it. Let's look at another way of doing it. So another way of doing it is just simply adding all the minor arc and the major arc and equate it to the revolution, which is 360. So I could say this is my major arc, 31x minus 7 plus the minor arc, which is 150, should be equal to 360. If I were to simplify all of this right here, if I subtract this from that, I get 143. And if I were to let me finish right here. If I were to subtract 143 from 360, that will give me 217, which gives me the same thing that I just had. So therefore, if I were to divide this by 31, then x will indeed be 7. Let's move on. How are we getting this concept? Very simple. Let's move on to another one. Let's look at this one. If I have two secant lines. So I have K, I have P, and I have L. And let's say this arc right here is 85, and I want to find what is the measure of K, which is the inscribed angle. Now, what's the relationship between the inscribed angle and its intercepted arc? Always remember that the inscribed angle is always half of the intercepted arc. All right, that's always a relationship. So all we need to do is to divide this by 2, and we have 85 divided by 2 is equal to 42, 42.5, 42.5, 42.5, 42. So 42.5. All right, so let's move on. Let's look at this very, very nice one. Say I have like a circle with my centers right there, and I'm gonna draw a triangle with this. This is my radius, and I have my tangent meeting with my radius. And always remember that when you have a tangent and a radius intersecting, it form right angles. And so if I say here is x, and I say, let's give it some name. Let's call this A, I call this O, which is the center, and I call this B. And I say, let's say O here is 11.7. I want to find here. Let's say AB is 10. Now, all I need to remember is the Pythagorean theorem to solve for x. That's all I need. Now, this here is going to be my longest side, which is hypotenuse, and these short sides could go anywhere in the equation. So let's finish this part and just call it a day. Let's go. All right, so let me change my colors for visuality. Let's just choose red. Now, what is my A? I could put X for my A. What's my B? B could be 10 if I want to choose it, but I have to make sure that my longest side is represented correctly. All right, so what is the square of these terms? So what is the square of X? The square of X is still X squared. The square of 10 is 100. What's the square of 11.7? 11.7. It's going to be 136.89. All right, what I'm going to do is subtract both sides by 100, and I will get back 138.9 minus 100. That's what? Let me get some space right here. That's what? 36.82, if I'm getting that right. 82. So what I have right now is 36.8. Was it 9? I think it was 9. Let me check before I move on. Right. 9. Now I need to find the value of x, so I need to square root both sides. So x is going to be equal to the square root. The square root of x is going to be, so you're going to 36.89. The square root is going to be 6. Let's run this out to 2 decimal places, 0.7. And there you go. We just did a few questions for your quiz. I hope you will do you will answer as many questions as you can. All the best on your quiz. See you. Good luck.